really have to go out there and make that growth happen yourself, because it's not going to fall on your lap. But I do think the beauty of it is you can do all of that stuff for free. It's just your time.
Everyone describes you as this fashion tech innovator, but in your own words, how would you describe Endless?
So Endless is a circular fashion platform. So we are leading in the way in the UAE for rental and resale. So that's how it kind of started. It actually started in London. I was in my 20s living in London and I didn't really have much money. And I was only able to shop in Zara or other fast fashion brands. And so I was like, why not? Like, why can't girls like me be able to wear a really nice designer dress?
There's someone out there watching us right now,
Yeah.
and the person wants to start like a fashion tech brand. What steps would you give that person?
I would say we are a really good team. And our whole life we're co-founders of our whole life, which does make it easier in some ways. Obviously, we spend a lot of time together, but we are really in sync and it works well. I think having your co-founder as a partner, if you can make it work, is...
Go ahead and hit that subscribe button.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Talknovate podcast, your go-to podcast for all things innovation, technology, and entrepreneurship. I'm very excited to start this 4th season, and I'm grateful to you all for being with me on this journey. It hasn't been easy, but I'm really excited that I'm here today. And I'll also like to give a shout out to Bedcast Podcast Studio here in Dubai for hosting us today and making this conversation we're about to have possible. Finally, I can't wait, and I'm super excited to introduce you to my guest. She is known as the founder of one of the UAE's leading circular fashion platform, Endless. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Rosie Gunn.
Thanks.
Welcome to Talknovate podcast.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Yeah, like I remember I was going through... there's this Facebook page, That Dubai Girl.
Yeah.
And I saw Endless. I'm like, okay, what's this? And I did more research about you and I got really like inspired by you. So I've been following for quite a while.
Thanks so much.
And I just decided like, okay, let me have her on the show.
Let's have a chat.
Yeah. So thank you for being here.
Thanks so much. Yeah, I'm always in on those Facebook groups. They're so valuable. And it's all about the girls. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so doing research about you in preparation for this interview, I've seen you've been published on like major fashion and also like business publications in the UK and in the UAE, and everyone describes you as this, fashion tech innovator. But in your own words, how would you describe Endless?
So Endless is a circular fashion platform. So we are leading in the way in the UAE for rental and resale. So that's how it kind of started. It actually started in London in 2019, before the pandemic. So it's been a bit of a long story, but in Dubai, it's just 2 years old.
Okay.
And it started as a tech platform, and it's actually really evolved into this amazing community, which is now kind of not what I care about more, but it's like evolved into something like so much more beautiful than I ever imagined. And it's really like back to the girl groups in Dubai and the community groups. They're so strong here, and I really love that about here. It's so about girls supporting girls.
Yeah, the support is huge.
It's unreal. Like, I think
Really,
it's such
really
a beautiful,
nice.
unexpected thing about moving here. And so Endless is a tech platform.
Yeah.
On paper, but it has become this beautiful community of girls, and that's what is the most exciting thing right now.
Okay, well, that's really cool.
Thanks.
But this brings me to my next question. So I remember like growing up as a kid, I always in school, I would do debates and like interview people, and I was always like kind of like a speaker, but it was just for fun.
Really? You
And
go, girl. I wish
recently,
I need to learn from you.
recently I was going through my high school pictures and I just remembered, I'm like, wow, and now I'm doing a podcast. And so there's been a recent study by Harvard University that stated most people end up as adults being passionate about things they loved as a kid. So did you play like dress up as a kid?
Yeah, I've been thinking about that, like how it all started for me as a child. But I did love dressing up, just like a normal girl.
Yeah.
But I don't know where it came from. Like my mum was creative. My dad was more kind of finance and commercial side of things. maybe that had some sort of subconscious impact on me. I don't know.
The fashion and the business.
Maybe, but no one in my family's like loved fashion or style. Like it really was just me, like a bit of a black sheep in a way. And I just loved it. And I don't love trends so much. I really just love style. And I think what's so beautiful about style is it really is so personal to everyone. And it's not about chasing the next trend. It's like who you are as a person, but an extension of that. And it can really transform how you feel one day. So I felt like throughout the time, my entrepreneurial journey, I've definitely gone through times where I felt very, very low. And as superficial as it may sound, I do think there is an element of you put on an outfit that makes you feel like that girl. And then it really makes you like, okay, I can face the day.
So true.
And I think that's probably more what I care about.
Yeah. Actually, one of my getting over a breakup hack is just going shopping, changing your wardrobe.
It's like so true.
You feel like a brand new person and you're like, okay, on to the next.
I really do think there is something in that. Some people may think it's really like superficial, but I don't think it is. I think it has such an impact on your energy and your mindset, and you're like, okay, I'm going to get out of these leggings and this hoodie and I'm going to put on my high boots and I'm just going to go for it. And I think that's what I love about the power of clothing.
Okay. So like, who was your fashion icon growing up?
It's such a hard one. Like, I don't know if I have one specific fashion icon. People have asked me that before and I just don't know. I do think I love like that old Hollywood classic, timeless old money style. And I don't know why, but I love that.
Let me see. So that's kind of like a Marilyn Monroe.
I guess, yeah, it's more just like very timeless classics. Like I like to wear all white or all black. Like it's actually kind of boring in a way, but it's just like styles that
it's very elegant.
Yeah, I think it's elegant, it's easy, and it's just like so effortless in a way that you can just wear these kind of simple colors and put them together so easily. And it kind of ties into investing into good quality pieces, but then also kind of like renting for the one-off occasions. So I do think that's kind of like at the core, I like to just dress quite in a boring way.
Okay. All right. So I read that you started your entrepreneurial journey quite early. As a kid with your sister, you were babysitting in your neighborhood and you literally like took over that market. And now here you are. So at that age, did you see yourself owning a business someday?
You know, I actually don't think it was ever something that was part of the plan. And it wasn't, I was never like someone who grew up and I knew I wanted to have like a big fashion business or anything like that. I guess without realizing it, I probably have always been quite entrepreneurial and like very resourceful. And like, if I want to make something happen, like I will make it happen no matter what, even if I've got no money.
Wow.
I will do that. But no, I don't know if I really had a plan to become an entrepreneur. It kind of just happened. I went into fashion buying and I saw the problem, like, and I was the customer. And I think it was more a moment of like, how does this not exist? And then I was like, okay, I've got the right experience. And I just thought, fuck it, I'm going to leave my job, give it a go. And if it doesn't work out, I'll get another job. It will be fine. And then that kind of became what it was. And then, that was a whole nother journey that had ups and downs, and then relocated out here. But I didn't really have a dream as a child to run my own business. It more kind of evolved through what it was. And to be honest, I don't know if I would have started any other business in the world. It was just this that I really cared about so much.
Yeah. But okay, I like the fact that you just jumped into it straight away, but like, how did your family like take that? Because in like African communities, families are big on having a 9-to-5 and having like some form of like stable financial security. So were people close to you worried about that decision?
So I think that's a really big thing that actually a lot of people don't really talk about. My family were very also traditional, and a 9-to-5, a stable income is very important. So I feel like on top of all of the kind of entrepreneurial struggles, I didn't necessarily have that initial support from them. So I felt like that was another thing that made the journey so much harder.
Yeah, because like most families, I remember like I was in banking and then I traveled to the UK to do my master's degree. And when I got back to my country, I'm like, I don't want to be in banking anymore. I want to be an entrepreneur. Yeah. And everyone thought I was crazy. Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's really challenging to break out and just be headstrong on following
It
your
really
vision.
is. And I think some people, even like your best friends, have your best interests at heart and they can see that you're struggling mentally, physically, financially. And no one can really see that vision that you have like in your mind and you're so sure about it. No one can really see that yet or see the results that will come in time. So I do think that's a huge part of it. But that being said, I do feel like in Dubai, there is so much support from friends, like from just people that you barely know. And I think that is what is so beautiful about building a business here, that people from all ages come together and they are just so beautifully supportive. And I'm so grateful for that.
Yeah, I'm really grateful for that. Well, I feel like Dubai is a place where lots of like ambitious people from across the globe just gather and everyone is so supportive.
Yeah,
so
I was speaking about this to someone recently and it was like someone was saying, if you want to fly to the moon in Dubai, everyone would be like, I'll come with you. I'll take your photos. What do you need?
True. So true.
Whereas if you're in like the UK, for example, maybe people would be like, you're crazy. So I feel like there's that different mindset here, which is so like empowering.
Very just inspiring actually. So I really love that here as well. Okay, so there's been this big debate online that education is a scam, especially in African and Asian communities where education is like a big thing. Ooh. So people often give examples of the Steve Jobs or the Mark Zuckerbergs who dropped out of school and they've built like a multi-million, if not a multi-billion entrepreneurial empire.
Yeah.
And being that you have a degree from the University of Manchester in fashion and textile retailing.
Good one.
Do you think education is a scam or has it helped you so far in your journey with Endless?
Yeah, it's a really interesting one. And I can only speak for myself. For me personally, it has been useful. And I do think to have that foundation does get you far in other, maybe not directly to like a business that you want to set up. But I do think there are skills that you do learn that are important. And my degree was really relevant. But I know that's not the same for a lot of people.
True.
And maybe that's just lucky. Or I don't know how that worked out.
Yeah.
So I did get a lot from that. And then that did lead me to do work experience and internships and I worked at M&S, which was a really big kind of corporate company for buying. So I learned so much there. More maybe directly that correlates with my startup now about kind of processes, systems, leadership, like how a big company runs at scale. So this might be slightly controversial because I know there is this whole conversation going on and I can genuinely only speak for myself.
Yeah.
But that was actually really useful for me. And I would recommend that to someone, but I think it's so depends on the startup, the situation, what you're doing. But for me personally, that was actually quite helpful. But I do agree that there are things that are not necessarily so directly helpful with later life from school. So that's not my overall opinion, but for me personally, it was helpful.
Yeah, even for me personally, I feel like it is helpful.
Yeah.
And of course, there are exceptions to the rule, but I do feel if you can afford it, you should definitely get an education.
I think that's a bit of a different conversation. I don't know if it was worth the money that I paid or still owe.
I remember when I was doing my master's in the UK, I was telling a classmate that it felt like I paid a high price to come and self-learn.
Yeah. Actually, okay. Sorry, I haven't really thought about this too much. I do think getting a job at a corporate company that's relevant to what you want to do is really valuable.
Yeah.
University, it really depends. I think if you want to be obviously like a doctor, a lawyer, then totally. But for what I did, I don't think it's necessary.
Okay.
I think getting yourself out there in the real world, like I like what you do, like acting, modeling. I feel like there's so much in that where you really have to graft for yourself. You really have to go and meet people. I feel like that skill is so important to entrepreneurship.
Yeah, definitely.
That's a tough gig.
It is.
Really, like that is
it really
scrappy.
is. And it's just like, you have to have a very thick skin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have
to do that.
Yeah, so much respect for anyone who does. Yeah, acting, modeling, you're really having to put yourself out there to pay your rent every month. Like it's so tough. And I feel like that's kind of adjacent to founders, entrepreneurs. And yeah, I feel like that kind of skill, cold calling or cold reaching cold reach out all the time is something that is so valuable for if you want to do your own business or be successful.
Yeah. Okay, so the big elephant in the room, or rather the big question.
Oh no.
Why endless?
Why endless?
Yeah.
Oh, what, the name?
Yeah.
Oh, well, it makes a lot of sense. Circularity is about kind of clothing that is endless. Like it's a continual loop and it kind of never gets thrown away. Like fast fashion, obviously, endless solves the problem of fast fashion, which is cheap fashion from Zara, PLT, or wherever, and people throw it away. The quality is so poor and it just doesn't last the test of time.
Yeah.
So endless is about timeless pieces that people can wear again and again. They can share them, you can wear them. You know, it's this circular economy. So endless really ties into that kind of endless loop.
Okay. That's a very nice idea, and that's very like innovative. So I really applaud you for that.
Thanks.
But when I was actually thinking about your brand, like back home in my country, we call preloved items secondhand items, and it's usually frowned upon. Like even though sometimes you really meet, like you get really quality pieces at very affordable rates, and most times it's even of better quality than the new products out there in the market. But there's just this social stigma surrounding that. And to think that you started a brand like that in the UK and in Dubai, or rather the UAE, and I know you have a huge presence here in Dubai, and Dubai is associated with like luxury, glitz and glamour. So how do you get end users to buy into your idea, given the negative perception people have about preloved items?
Yeah, I think, no, you're totally right. There has been a massive shift since I first started, where there was a lot more of that kind of mentality. People are like, oh, it's gross. But now it's kind of really changed very rapidly. Like when I started the business before the pandemic, rental was definitely something that people were like really didn't have any problems with. But the pre-loved element, some people perhaps did, but it's just been a long journey of kind of people just getting more accustomed to it, understanding that it's totally fine, it's hygienic, like there's really nothing kind of wrong with it. And on the Endless platform, I guess my mission's always been to kind of create the new, like Unas, Net-a-Porter, or create this journey where it feels so normal to like the average girl like me, and we make it feel kind of not true luxury, but more luxury. And we make it so seamless, so it's all so easy, and it's not like rifling through things at a thrift shop. And it's kind of like making it more appealing to the masses. And I think like that's the bit that like I have to do, or like businesses have to do, is like kind of change the perception from it being kind of like, there's a big difference between like a car boot sale and then a platform where everything's so like carefully managed and monitored. So I feel like that's been the big kind of like shift that I've been trying to create, I guess, and just changing people's perception so it feels so normal that it doesn't feel strange.
Yeah.
But it was more at the start of the journey where it wasn't necessarily customers. I feel like the younger generation are kind of like up for it a bit more, and I feel like that's definitely changed over time. But it was more the brand side. So when we were working with brands, that was quite difficult to get them
to buy into the idea.
That was like really the hardest part. And that's changed also in a massive way in like the last 6 or 7 years. But when I started, there was like, that was such a tough gig trying to persuade brands to work with us.
Yeah, but I really do admire your resilience, especially when I found that you flew all the way to Paris Fashion Week just to get like luxury brands to,
to get on board. Yeah,
Exactly.
Now I look back on that, I think that was maybe slightly unhinged. I should do that trending thing on Instagram. But I don't know why we did that. But I was emailing, and everyone in these sort of situations know what it's like. You get no replies, people say no, like it's obviously really tough. And someone replied to me, a designer, and I think they said, yeah, I will meet with you if you're at Paris Fashion Week like tomorrow or like the next week or something.
Wow.
And so I was like, we need to go.
Oh my God.
But that was like so much better, like meeting people in person than just cold reach out. So I've managed to just like door knock on showrooms, speak to people. Yeah, looking back, it's slightly crazy, but it did work. And we managed to get 3 brands to say yes to us.
Yeah.
Bearing in mind, at this point, we didn't actually have a website. Like, because we didn't have any brands on, we couldn't really have a website because there was obviously no brands to stock.
Yeah.
So that was tough. It was like that beginning phase where you haven't really got anything. So the only thing that we could really sell is like us persuading them on the vision and everything we wanted to do. And so we managed to get 3 really good brands, actually, designers, to say yes to us, which meant that we could start the whole platform.
Yeah.
So that was actually really exciting. But yeah, definitely tough to get people to say yes and start.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But you can do it.
Yeah,
you just have to keep going. And it was so bad. I remember it was like, I think the Eurostar was way too expensive, so we had to get a flight from London to Paris, which obviously not that bad. I think we were like sharing a bed and stuff. It was like a real low moment.
Yeah.
We did it, and I was so nervous. But now I look back and I'm like, why was I nervous? But anyway, you know what it's like.
I feel like it's that imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Yeah, with like every entrepreneur out there, you just feel like, okay, maybe I'm not good enough. And then you get a yes, and you're like,
I can do this.
Yeah.
Like, I can. So yeah, that was definitely, slightly unhinged thing to do, but it definitely worked. And I would recommend anything like that if you want to get anything done. We've got to make it happen.
Definitely. You just have to go all the way.
You really do.
So I want to find out the fashion market in the UK and in the UAE, like how different is it? Were there like certain issues that are peculiar to the UK and then the UAE as well?
Yes.
In getting your brand known?
Getting the brand known. I feel like it has genuinely been well received from the customer. I feel like girls who kind of, especially now, are more accustomed to renting resale, almost in the UAE are like, oh, I have it in my home country. Where is it here? So I feel like that's been kind of, people now are really accustomed to it. So it is kind of growing quite naturally. And same with like the network effect, tapping into communities here. I feel like that has been so beautiful in terms of growth. In the UK, it was a slightly different journey because we had an amazing start from the customer side. Like the brand's part was a lot more difficult, but the rental was like really flying. And then then it was the global pandemic. So then that's when it became a bit more rocky. So I don't have like an exact comparison, really. I'm just so grateful that we're living in a real normal world in Dubai, and there's hopefully no pandemics going soon. Because that was tough.
That was scary.
I know it was for everyone, but obviously that was a startup anyway, which is quite difficult with all the ups and downs and the changes. But going through the pandemic, and we didn't know when it was going to end, and all the lockdowns, that was a bit of a hard sell at that time. But we survived and we came out of it growing, and I feel like that we learned so much. Oh my God, so much.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
But it's really good that you had like that experience, because that has helped you even be more stronger here in the UAE.
Definitely. I think when I look back, obviously at the time I was really not enjoying elements of it because it was so hard.
Yeah.
But I do think there is so much genuinely that I've learned from that that's like invaluable. And going into this chapter, the hardest times I do think you learn by far the most. So it all plays out in the end, hopefully for the best.
Hopefully. Okay, so let's talk about funding. There was a research I found out recently that said over 70% of entrepreneurs fail because of funding.
Yeah.
And I found out that Endless was bootstrapped. And like you even just explained now how the trip to Paris it was really like inconveniencing and all. So how did you fund your project and how did you sustain it before you got investors?
Yeah, so also a really hard thing that I don't think people talk about enough. It's so hard. And in the UAE, when I restarted it from scratch, I still do other jobs on the side. So like modeling, acting, I was doing hostessing to start with, to like really test it to see if it was going to work. And obviously everything I wanted to, if there was any kind of money to put back into the business, I wanted to make sure I was doing that. So I did that. And then we have actually now, we did bootstrap for a long time, and there's so much you can do now, especially with AI and ChatGPT. Oh my God, I wish that was there when I started. Makes life so much easier.
It does, definitely.
All the answers are out there for you. Kind of envious. But there's so much you can do yourself. And again, tapping into other communities, really putting yourself out there, whether that's in person, on LinkedIn. I am the most annoying person out there on LinkedIn. I'm like constantly messaging people, and I do genuinely believe you have to make it happen and make your own opportunities for sure, and get out there as much as you can in person, whether that's online or in real life.
Yeah.
And I think that has helped loads. But now we have done a small angel round, and I'm really passionate about this whole topic because it's so hard. It's so hard, full stop, but it's so much harder for women, full stop.
Yeah.
And it's been seriously tough. And I've really been on that kind of fundraising journey. But we do have a amazing, supportive group of kind of angel investors at this point. We did a family and friends round with our community. Okay. So I'm proud that like the majority of the investments have come from women now, which is something I hope when I can do a lot more about that side of things, but obviously I'm not there yet.
Okay. So if there's someone out there watching us right now and the person wants to start like a fashion tech brand like you've done, and maybe all the person has is £500.
Okay.
If you'd having that amount in today's AI world, like what framework would you, or like what steps would you give that person?
I would say kind of similar to what I just said. I think you can do so much for free online. Like Shopify is it's not completely free, but it's pretty low.
Oh, it's pretty low,
yeah. And you can make it yourself. Like you just need to spend so much time. And in both of my businesses, that's what I did first. You can just spend every evening making it look beautiful or exactly how you want to do it. And I think that is the main thing. Like don't like do everything like do as much as you can. And same with like AI, everything that's coming through, like you can automate so much and you can do so much. So I'd focus on that. Depends what the product is exactly. I imagine maybe you'd want to spend the money on the product and then really put yourself out there. I don't do it enough online because I'm shy.
No, but you don't look shy though.
But I need to. But in real life, I really go out there. Like I tap into all these communities in Dubai. Yeah. I really try to get people to trust me and know me. And I think that's a big thing. Same with like the press side of things. Yeah. You can really message people on LinkedIn, email. You can find these people on Instagram. There's like so much access to people these days. And you really have to go out there and make that growth happen yourself because it's not going to fall on your lap. But I do think the beauty of it is you can do all of that stuff for free. It's just your time.
Okay. So for every entrepreneur, including myself, there's been I feel like there's certain defining moments in a business where it's like a make it or break it season. So something happens and you're just like, I'm going to walk away. Yeah. What was that key moment for you that you you almost quit, that made you almost quit?
Yeah, I guess I don't know if I do genuinely have this like really deep like knowing that this is what I'm going to do. There's never been a moment that I've wanted to give up on what I'm doing. I believe in it so much, but I do know that there's been many times and still is where I'm wondering how I'm going to, not that I want to give up on the business, but how am I going to survive? Like how is the business going to survive another day, month? Like how am I going to pay my bills? Like there's been many moments like that. And still is, where I'm like in crippling anxiety, thinking like, I want the business to continue, but I really don't know how I'm going to do it. And I think that's more of a regular thing that never goes away. But the big moments like that, I guess we did close it in the UK and it just felt like it was the right thing to do. And there were many factors that went into that. But I guess when I reset it up here, I did take some time to really think, do I want to do this again? Because it is so all-consuming and it is so hard and it's going to take over my life again. Like, do I really want that? And I did go around the houses and also checked that I really felt that there was an opportunity here that was worth it for me to do this. But I do think that I guess that was the point where I felt quite lost. And then I was like, right, okay, here we go again. But there's not been a moment where I've wanted to give up on the business. It's more like, can I actually do this?
Yeah, because something I often tell people, if you're going into business and your main goal is just to make money, then don't do it, because you have to have a why that is bigger than that. So when you go through like the challenging moments, you go back to your why, to why you're passionate about it. And that, I think that's what keeps you
definitely
going.
Like, if I just don't think that if you want money, like you just won't only. You just won't get through
or maybe
the
the status, because some people feel like, oh, well, I don't want to work under anyone anymore. So,
I know. I think there's a lot of that online. And I do, obviously, I can only speak from my own journey, which has been really hard. And I don't think it's normal for it to be like this overnight success. And I think there's a big misconception out there where there's other fashion brands that have apparently had overnight success and everyone thinks it's so easy. But I do think it's important to acknowledge that that is so not the norm. Like, it is so hard. And maybe in the end you might get rich, but there's so many years of insane, crippling financial anxiety that it's just not worth it.
Let's talk about this, because
unless you really care about what you're doing.
This is something that people don't really talk about.
No.
Yeah, this is the awkward part of business.
I want to talk about it.
I don't want to talk about it. I just want to post, like, you know, the pretty pictures, the nice moments, but
let's talk about it.
This is very real.
It's so real. And I don't know why no one talks about it. And I think that I have people who ask me for advice about things, but genuinely, like, it is so hard. And that I don't think I've looked at other people. I don't think that feeling ever goes away, because then you have more of a team, more people, and like it grows and grows. And I think that is just something, obviously there's so many fulfilling parts of it. And there are the odd glam part, but, especially as it looks from Instagram. But I do think like the reality of like most of the day is not glam or fun. And you have to be willing to sacrifice that for this. And I do think there's a lot about, people should talk about that more.
Yeah. But how are you able to, being a very busy entrepreneur and you're putting in all your resources and your time and energy into Endless, how are you able to have like a healthy work-life balance? Has that been easy for you to balance that out?
So I'm not very good at that. I don't think I should be.
Are you a workaholic?
I don't want to be a workaholic, but I do think at the beginning there is a point where like it's not really a choice. Like, it would be a luxury for me to have every weekend off, every evening off. Like, I've been doing other jobs on the side, trying to run the business, like genuinely giving it my heart and soul. And I wouldn't want it any other way, because I would always regret it if I didn't. So that's my choice. I'm not saying that living in that way is healthy or good. I know that. And I'm not advising that to anyone, but I do think at a certain point in your business, like, it isn't actually you have to do that if you want it to be what you want it to be. And I do need to do more of that. And I do think when we get to the next stage, I'll really consciously try as much as possible to take weekends and evenings off as much as I can. But like, don't get me wrong, if I was in a job I hated and I was working like this, it would be so wrong. But at the same time, there's hard bits. I genuinely love it and it's so fulfilling, and I wouldn't want to be doing anything else. It's almost like parts of it are fun for, like, so fun for me.
Because you're passionate about it.
Yeah.
So
it's like
it makes it easier.
Exactly. So like, I don't think the way I live currently is healthy. But I do know that there's parts of the business, like at the beginning, where you do have to give it your all, and it is hard to have work-life balance. But I do, check myself and make sure I'm in check. I do have therapy, and I've always had that throughout this journey. And I think that's really important.
I went into therapy last year. It was really helpful.
It's so helpful. I feel like even if you do that once a month or every 2 weeks, giving yourself that time for you is so valuable. And I think that's helped me a lot with all of the challenges that come your way. Yeah. And I do think it's important for anything, but particularly this, like, knowing yourself at such a deep level and like having peace and balance in you is maybe the best way to navigate all of this stuff. Yeah. Well, that's what I think at the moment.
Okay. So the reason why I asked that question, there's like a perception online that being an entrepreneur gives you like flexibility. So you can be working at the beach in JBR and the next day you can be in Paris. Like, it just gives, people tend to project that side of it. But from experience working in the corporate world and being an entrepreneur, I found out that as an entrepreneur, you even work harder because everything depends on you.
Defo.
Yeah.
I think maybe at certain times there is flexibility, like it is your business. So depends on what the business is. It really does depend on what the business is. Maybe you can be all around the world. I know someone who has a kind of branding and website business, and she can do that because it's not tied to anywhere and her team is fully remote and that works for her. So there are some businesses that maybe that is possible. she works insanely hard, and it's not like she's actually on holiday. But if you value kind of traveling the world, maybe that's a good way to do it. But there is flexibility in the sense that you are, you don't have a boss, but at the same time, it is also, everything is your responsibility. So you have to take it very seriously. And that may mean that you are working 24/7.
Yeah. Do you have like accountability partners?
What do you mean? Like,
okay, because sometimes being your own boss, it might, if you're not very disciplined, you might sleep up and just be like, you know what, I just want to Netflix and chill today. So do you have like people that hold you accountable to like your deadlines? And
yeah, I mean, I don't have that problem because I am like, I don't say workaholic, but like I care so much. Like, I want, and I also have this feeling of like urgency. Like I just want to get going as quickly as I can. Okay. But I do think having a co-founder is helpful because then you are essentially holding each other accountable if that is something, or a team. I do also think having good systems in place. So we have everything on ClickUp, deadline, like we have processes and systems which are holding us accountable to everything that we want to achieve. Okay. So yeah, I guess in a way, but I do think if you want it so badly, like you will do it. And I don't think you will be at the beach club or whatever. I think you will. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But maybe it depends on the business. But for mine, I sadly cannot be at the beach club in the week.
No, but like I should be taking notes from you right now. I'm like just thinking of all the deadlines I've missed because of a K-drama on Netflix. Yes.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you'll do it. I think, when you get that like feeling inside, then you just will. I just think that's with anything. Like everything is hard at the start, but if you care about it enough, you will do it.
Okay. So looking back at about 5 years ago when you started this journey, and looking at where you are today, like being, featured on like maybe major publications, your brand is being recognized and you're getting like investors buying in. How does that make you feel being on this side of the table?
Oh gosh, I don't think I'm on that side of the table yet.
But you're not where you started.
Yeah, true. I'm not where I started. Take a moment to be grateful. Yeah, true. I guess I feel proud, and I want to take a moment to feel proud about the business being credible enough to be featured. Like that's a great achievement. But I just feel like, there's always more. I'm grateful for where I am, but there's so many big plans that I have and so many things that I want to achieve. And I did, to be honest, feel like I kind of went backwards when I closed the business down from the UK and then started again from scratch here. I felt like I did that first part twice. And so ever since I've set it up here, I've just been on this like insane mission to get it back to where I was, because it's almost like I lost like I know I didn't, and I learned so much, but I felt like I lost 3 years of everything I created. Exactly. Again. So I feel like I always have that chipping away at me, which maybe is unhealthy, but I just want to get it back to where it was and then get back to where I was on terms of what I wanted, where I wanted it to go. But obviously it wasn't all time lost. I learned so much and there's so many beautiful things that came out of it. And it was definitely for the best. And being in the UAE is definitely where I'm meant to be. Yeah. This is my home.
Thank you so much for sharing that, because one thing that is associated with entrepreneurship is failure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so for the fact that you closed that and you had to like start all over again, even having the willpower to not run away, because certain people would just get traumatized and scared.
Yeah.
And just be like, you know what? I tried it.
I know.
Yeah. So let me just move on to something else.
Yeah.
So that's really...
Thanks.
I admire you for like being very resilient.
Thanks. I do feel a lot of people maybe thought, I do feel a lot of people thought I was maybe a bit crazy doing it again, like, and all of that stuff. There's definitely a lot of outside noise that I've had to cut out and just like really focus. Like everybody has their opinions, rightly or wrongly. And I feel like it's all about kind of channeling that out and just like really going for what you want. And yeah, it is a risk. But I do believe like if you really pour your heart and soul into it and you keep going and you never stop, I do believe you will do it, or you'll do something will come from it that is valuable to you.
Okay.
So yeah, thanks. But also with failure, I really do, maybe I'm deluded, but I really have completely removed that from anything that I do. Maybe some people, Yeah, I just think it is a learning. Like, to me, that definitely wasn't like a failure by any means. And I learned so much, and everything I do in life. And I think that's a huge part when you do something like you do, or you're a founder. Like, there's so much, it's like daily failure. Like, there's daily rejection, there's daily.
True.
So if I thought of it like that, oh my God. So I feel like it's a huge thing is just to completely remove that from your vocabulary, and it is just learning, and it is just life, and I do believe that is what you need to do to reframe it.
Okay, so what tech tools have you used to like enhance your business, or what platforms?
So we use quite a lot, and I must admit that Chris and I are the co-founders. I look after more of the front end, and he looks after more of the back end, and that's how we split it. So he is very much into everything AI, making us at the forefront of everything that we do. It's changing rapidly, like daily.
Yes, it keeps evolving.
It's evolving. It's hard to keep up. And so there's so much we do in terms of automations to make it lighter on the team, as well as rental and resale is quite operationally heavy. So a lot of that needs to have quite a solid back-end system. Same with the team to make everything's running slick. We'd make sure we have lots of systems in place. We use all sorts, but I don't want to not do him justice. So follow him on LinkedIn.
Okay,
he talks about it.
Everyone follow the co-founder of Endless, Chris Primet,
on LinkedIn, because he regularly sends updates about what we're doing with AI agents and all of that stuff. I'd kind of classify him as a unexpected expert, but because he's in it every day. But I'm not going to pretend I know what I'm talking about, so I'll leave it there.
All right, that's fine. So in preparation for this interview, I found out that the fashion industry is responsible for about 92 million tons of waste globally and every year.
Yeah.
Thinking about that matrix or that statistics, how do you feel? I know that your brand is currently sustainable, but the future of Endless, are there anything you guys are working on to make the industry a bit more sustainable?
Yeah, so I guess that's kind of like at the heart of everything we are doing. It's about really solving that problem. So where everything that goes on our platform is going into this circular economy, the circular economy is a huge part of kind of solving all of this fast fashion situation that we've had. So I'd say that really is at the core of everything we do. And everything that we do, or I do personally, so important to me is having a positive impact in any way. So that really is like the whole kind of point of the business. It's like making that the new Net-a-Porter, Unas, the new way that every girl shops or every woman shops, and just making it so easy for her. So yeah, I guess that is a huge part of what we do.
All right. So a big congratulations. I found that you got married this year in Zanzibar. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
To your co-founder, Chris Primet. Congratulations on that.
Thanks.
And what's next for Rosie Gunn? Where do you see yourself in the next 10 years?
Oh, that's an interesting question, but thanks so much. The wedding, we just as you know, it's a bit scrappy running a startup, and we just did it, the two of us in Zanzibar. It was very low key, no stress, no drama. Didn't want any additional stress in my life.
That's actually my dream
Really?
vacation. I've never been there, but I saw clips of it in Scandal. I don't know if you watch that American
No,
series.
but is it good?
Okay, it's like a legal drama, really good.
Okay.
And I've been dreaming of Zanzibar for a long time. So when I saw those pictures, I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
this is amazing.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I recommend it to anyone who wants that vibe. And so many people have said since then, like, they wish they did that, or like they want to do that. And I just think it is about the two of you, and things can lose sight of that these days, but they genuinely can. And I think it was so low key and just chilled. And I think that was exactly what we needed with the noise that goes on in our lives. So thanks so much. But yeah, we are a really good team. And our whole life we're co-founders of our whole life, which does make it easier in some ways. Obviously, we spend a lot of time together, but we are really in sync, and it works well. And I think having your co-founder as a partner, if you can make it work, is very efficient.
Yeah. So where do you see Endless in the next 5 years?
We just have so much going on. We've got a new tech project, I should have mentioned earlier, that's about to start. So hopefully that will come out at the end of the year, which will be really exciting. Lots of new brand partners. We're growing the team. We are getting a store space later this year.
Oh, nice.
I know. And the team's growing, and it's starting to become a much more exciting time where we're starting to grow. So there's so much in the pipeline, and we're only small at the moment. So it's really about scaling in the region.
Okay. I must say thank you so much for making luxury fashion more accessible. I remember the first time, or rather second time I came to Dubai, I went to Dubai Mall and I saw this amazing outfit in a high fashion brand and it was like half my salary.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I love it. It's screaming my name, but I can't have it. So I like the fact that with your brand, Endless, you're making girls like me at that time who couldn't afford that be able to, you know, rent high quality clothing or even resell.
Yeah.
So that's really amazing.
Thanks. I just think it makes so much sense. I genuinely, obviously, this is why I've set it up, but I don't understand how it didn't exist before. Mm-hmm. I was the same. I was in my 20s living in London and I didn't really have much money. And I was only able to shop in Zara or other fast fashion brands. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, why not? Like, why can't girls like me be able to wear a really nice designer dress or handbag for that one night or that day and feel really good? Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what it's all about. It's like, a lot of people don't wear those outfits that many times anyway. So putting it into Endless where people can just wear it once or twice and pay a fraction of the price, the same as the fast fashion price, just makes so much sense to me. And it's better for the planet. So
yeah. Wow. Thank you so much for that. And thank you for being on the Talknovate podcast.
Well, thanks so much for having me.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Hi, guys. Thank you very much for joining us on this episode with Rosie Gunn. Please don't forget to subscribe. Bye.